How's it going, party people? We're back. We're back with another hobby hang. Hope everyone is well. I skipped yesterday's stream. I just had such a pain in the neck. So I figured I'd skip any hobbying, you know? Allow the body to do a bit of healing. Anyways, we're continuing today on the Warp Spiders. Also, got a very big exciting announcement for the channel. I've changed my wet palette sponge. Look at this new blue sponge. Devoid of any blemishes. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. How's it going, Pyro CR? Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Oh my god. I thought I had everything I needed. I thought I had everything I needed, that the stream was ready to go, and here I find myself without any paper towels. Which I feel is essential. So this is extremely unprofessional, but I'm gonna BRB right as we start. Right as we start. Please forgive, and I shall return shortly. Alrighty, I have returned. Get out of here, BRB. Okay, so yeah, got my paper towels here. We're ready to start on the Warp Spider, but first, before starting the Warp Spider, I have this Typhus here that I was chipping away at over time, and I think it's probably wise to give Typhus here a rim job, you know? Clean this up, make him look nice and finished. So we'll do that before we get to the Warp Spider. Shouldn't take too long. Let me catch up on chat here. Iron of the Spoon, hello, welcome. C.R. Smith, you're saying to make this one bright pink, and you'll give me a single real United States dollar. Well, I don't think I'm going to do that, sorry. Not going to sell out for that. My Warp Spiders must be unified. They must be a cohesive unit. Or else the whole dream is ruined. Pyro says, I might hobby while streaming. A very rare instance, a single airbrushed Gantt about to be painted. Hey, there's no rules against that. You can stream on your end, you can do whatever. You can mute this and watch something else. It's all good. Okay, so I guess got some black primer here, and then we're going to rim Typhus's base. And try not to get any of our primer onto the ooze. I don't think we should have any issues there. You usually find they do 2 coats for this sort of thing, so we'll place Typhus aside and circle back. How's it going, Francois? Good to see you in chat. Okay, so let's start laying down some basic colors on our Warp Spider. I'm thinking I'll just use this black primer. Usually I'd use black paint, but I think it's all the same, right? It's basically the same thing. If I'm just trying to get down a black base color on the soft seals here, what's the harm really? Unless there's something I'm not enlightened to, you guys can let me know. But I think it's the same. I think it's the same difference. So the goal here again, like with the last stream, is to just hopefully end the stream with this Warp Spider battle ready. When did Goblin Green stop being the norm for bases? I recently bought some Jump Pack Assault Marines from eBay. I thought they were Horus Heresy, but they turned out to be from 3rd edition and have that color. That's a good question. When did Goblin Green stop being the standard? I suppose whenever battle mats became popular, if I had to guess. But I couldn't say with certainty which edition GW stopped painting their bases Goblin Green as, like, for their studio paint jobs. But the Goblin Green does have a... I like it. I know some people don't like it, but there's that nostalgic bend the Goblin Green bases have that I sort of... I just find it charming. These Ultramarines with yellow flamers and Goblin Green bases. Okay, let's see what else needs to get blacked here. Looking at our guy from last stream. Or, this isn't from last stream, this is just a sample I did first. So we have gauntlets, weapon casing, and the jump pack, warp pack. Then once all the black areas are hit, I'll probably do a similar process for the metal areas. Just block in all of our different material components. I think that's the most efficient way to go about this, other than batch painting, but there's no way to enjoy your life while batch painting. I don't think it's worth it. You're 2K Rogue Trader Old Hammer Army with Goblin Green bases. Nice. CR's asking, why don't you paint your bases Goblin Green then? Also, what type of model Warp Spider is this? I thought they were metal. These are Artel W's Warp Spiders. I have an Artel W affiliate link. It's in the video or the stream description. Doesn't cost you guys extra to use that link when shopping there, but I think I get a minor kickback. The bigger deal is sometimes Artel sends me stuff, which is it's a much more significant win. Yes, but these are not GW models. Though my buddy Melon gave me a bunch of old metal Aspect Warriors the other day, which is very kind. So I do have some metal Warp Spiders now. Will I paint them? We'll see. Yes, CR, to answer your question, that is what batch painting is. Batch painting would be doing all the black components on my remaining models, and then doing all the metals, and so on and so on. And then it's definitely more efficient, but I just don't enjoy my hobby time painting that way. And I used to force myself to paint that way, and I realized, like, what am I even doing if I don't enjoy it, right? Not worth it. So I think you gotta find what works for you, and that's your painting pace. See, I have buddies in the hobby that don't like painting at all, and so batch painting is the way to go because they're not gonna like it regardless. They are the kind of uncultured people who don't enjoy painting their models. I kid. Getting a pretty, bad shadow, eh? How can I don't know what I can do about this. Maybe like that. Lessens it a little bit. Maybe a little bit better. How's it going, Scorp? Just saw your message in chat. You enjoy the Space Marine themed lists? Well, happy to hear it. Happy to hear it, as always. Am I really the only guy who does homebrew rules? No way. That makes me sad. That makes me so sad. Oh well. I get it though, because whenever I do homebrew rules, the analytics tank hard, so it makes sense, I guess. I do have a video in mind for this week that I think, knock on wood, I think it'll do fairly well. Inspired from the last thematic list build in part. I think there's room for a critique on grav weapons video. I'll have to look into some of the other profiles in other armies, but I believe they're shit, and you could probably make a good critique video on it, is the short of it. They seem to be bad and not accurate to what they ought to be, if that makes sense. Next, I'm doing an Imperial Agents themed list. I do have like a desire to do that because I wanted, like, I actually had. If GW didn't do an Imperial Agents Codex, like real talk here, okay? If they didn't release one, I would have had a homebrew rules video for almost what they did, but probably, I'm not trying to brag, but probably a little bit better executed, okay? It certainly wouldn't have punished Deathwatch players. So maybe that on its own already makes it better. Yeah, I like the idea of, you have an Inquisitor and he requisitions the allies he needs from the factions that are available and which are tied to the Inquisition, right? Your Deathwatch, your Grey Knights, your Sisters of Battle. I think they're all... It's great. It's exactly what I would want, but it's like a great idea, but flawed execution type of thing. Yeah, like an Inquisitor-themed list is just... there's so much, like, creative freedom there to have your own Inquisitor, which they don't provide rules for. Good God, here we go. Getting all riled up. Let me catch up with you guys in chat here. CR says homebrew rules are good as long as everyone agrees. True. Guess what? They're your models. You can do whatever you want. Not just what GW says. You can play Barbie House with them if you want. Yep. You could. And if everyone likes it, who's gonna complain, right? You should do a video on vehicle design rules. Interesting. I did at the start of... funnily enough, one of my better performing videos, sort of an outlier, was my vehicle critique video at the end of 9th edition. And then, fair enough, in 10th edition, they overtuned vehicle toughness like crazy. Vehicles aren't... I don't exactly have an issue with the... look, I reserve the right to change my mind, okay? First of all. But I don't think I have any issue with the way the vehicles are stat-lined right now. In terms of the standardized toughness being 9 as opposed to 7 like it used to be. There might be some targeting rules and cover benefit rules that probably make things worse. Best part of vehicle design rules is swapping weapons. Stats are fine. I think I'm inclined to agree. Like, some weapon profiles on vehicles are pretty absurd, I think. The toughness standardization is fine, going from 7 to 9, like I said earlier, but yeah, there are quite a few oddball choices on various vehicles, like the Sisters of Battle Immolator, I think, with the massive Melta cannons, okay? Like, these Melta guns are There's no way you can look at that Melta-Cannon on that immolator if I have the unit name right. It's a transport that has a flamer turret, kind of like in a Razorback sort of way. But anyways, you can't look at that Melta-Cannon or Melta-Gun or whatever they call it and say it's the same thing that's being held by a battle sister. Like, come on, this is crazy to me. That thing should be like strength 10 at least. Like, it kills me. It kills me what they've done to Melta-Guns this edition. And then you have like the Obliterator's focused Malice Melta-Gun, and it's like strength 12 or something. Maybe not strength 12, but it's certainly higher, okay? It's certainly higher than the Sisters of Battle Immolator. Okay, I think these are all the black areas. Let's just do a little check. I'm doing this check, right? But I'm almost certain there'll be an area I miss regardless. So then why bother with the check, right? What is even the point? Okay, let's do our metal colors. Let us begin. Or maybe we'll just do another coat on Typhus's rim. Oh, he's still, I see. He is still drying. Okay, never mind then. We'll let Typhus chill for a bit. GW seems to be anti-customization. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, after a bit of shaking, I think our metal color is ready. I think it's ready to go. Francois, I'm just reading your message now. You have a Predator that's twin assault cannon turret, plasma cannon sponses, and Land Raider Prometheus with a quad assault cannons. Quad assault cannon sponses. Wow. That sounds super cool, actually. And a Land Raider Crusader with plasma guns instead of bolters. It's the Hurricane sponsons. Yeah, that level of customization's rad, and it ought to be available. It really ought to be. It's the same rationale we would use for like, oh, why can't Chosen choose their weapons, right? Yep, that feeds into what you guys are saying about GW being anti-customization. I don't disagree. I usually don't disagree with you guys unless it's about Lamardi's. I think I'm in the minority on that one. That's okay. Alright, so we'll hit down these metal colors. well. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you guys. I just got some notifications of OBS dropping the stream. Hopefully it's fine with YouTube. Yeah, just catching up on chat here. Seer says, if only there was some system where different weapons cost different points. Yeah, wild idea, right? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Where is my warp spider from last stream? Right, so that canister at the back of the gun was metal, and oh, you know what? I actually forgot to do something on this one here. These are supposed to be metal details. Yeah, this is just such an awesome sculpt. Look at this. So cool. Well, okay, we're going to have to thread the needle here. In your perfect world, you'd have a points cost for the model, and then you would pay a certain amount of points for different weapons you would put on it with a shitty 0 points option. We used to have that world. Just so funny. It makes it easier. It makes it easier to manage the game system. And look, if you can find a way to make the options equally valuable with the way they're statted, right? I don't mind. It's just there are cases where it's clearly not the case. And then it feels bad. And then your choices are punished because you can't even have a less efficient choice which costs a little bit less. You feel punished. All right, I think we're ready for some reds. A little chicken with typhus. It's probably just the bottom that didn't dry, actually, now that I think about it. Because it's such a... There's no space for it to air dry. It's okay. Are my fingers pure? I've actually never fingerprinted a model with paint, but I've certainly smushed green stuff work, which wasn't cured. And that is certainly a bad feel. If they're all equally valuable, they're all equally shit. When everyone is super, no one is. I guess so. There's some truth to that. Yeah, I don't entirely disagree. It's gonna be hard to give a bolt gun rules so that it's equally valuable to a plasma gun. Yes. So that's a case where you really can't get what I was describing to work for the system. There might be some units that only have special weapon options where you could. But that's the problem we're feeling right now, where there are some obvious units that don't really get served well by their choices. Because a Meltagun is not exactly equal to a heavy bolter. I think with that second coat, Typhus should be right as rain. They're all equally valuable. Well, 10th edition DI hammers forever. Oh God, Francois, no! No, don't do You know what? I kind of like the meme that this has become. Okay. Oh, I think the base coat here is corn red. Jeez, I should really know the painting process that I use for models. It's probably a good idea. I think it's corn red plus a little bit of black and maybe some glazing medium for the base coat of this armor. I could, and I should, check with the older streams before I before I set up for the next stream. That's okay. How's it going, George? Welcome. Malthus are sad in 10th. Yep. In my group, we are playing with adding +1 to wound to Melta when in half range. Still testing the feel of them. Interesting. Interesting choice. That would certainly, in theory, shore up the major problem it has. And I wonder, I'm going to bring this up in my next video, most likely, but I wonder how much intentional bad design there is in 40k when it comes to things like Meltaguns and, in the case that I want to talk about, grav cannons or grav weapons. I wonder if there is intentional inefficiency in the stat profiles so that in a hypothetical 10th edition, or 11th edition rather, grav weapons are really good. Because now they have the stats they always should have had. I wonder how much of that is intentional. Because I hate to put my tinfoil hat on, right? But I can't help but come off feeling that that's the case. It keeps happening, right? It's hard to deny. Meltaguns are a great example of that. In 8th edition, they're so... GW gets a pass, right? They get a pass at the start of 8th edition because it's the Great Reset. The edition is, actually changing to a new edition. It's not just building off of the pre-existing architecture, right? And so you get a free pass for your bad standardization, I guess. You really shouldn't be excused because you're such a luxurious billion-dollar company and all that, right? But regardless, we can give them the pass at the start of a proper reset. But then in 9th edition, you have a standardization where Meltas are peak. Feels good to have a Meltagun. And in 10th edition, we're back to, Meltas are bad again. And I just wonder if we'll see in 11th edition grav weapons being ruled properly, where it's like, oh wow, grav weapons really crunch vehicles and monsters. It makes perfect sense. It's so lore accurate. And you have all these kinds of talking points. Speaking of weapons, what are you guys saying on autocannons? Autocannons feel bad, right? Do we have any autocannon enthusiasts in chat? I feel like if you're a fan of autocannons, you're just sad, right? Or am I wrong? Maybe in an Eldar light vehicle heavy environment, autocannons are just the best. Right? You play against a lot of Drukhari, maybe you love your autocannons. Oh, here we go. Warhammer used to be for smart adult men with lots of disposable income. Now it's for every transformer and child mode. Oh, $10 to spend on eBay. Oh, look, eBay is... I've got a few models off eBay. You know, I was happy I was able to find them at least. It has a utility. All good on your end, George? Great, happy to hear it. Another thing you're testing is vehicle facing. Interesting. I love the idea of vehicle facing. My play group is very resistant to it because of past edition, I think PTSD, due to arguments people would always have about, oh, I can see this side. It's like, no, you can't. Yes, I can. And then it devolves into an argument. But I like the idea of vehicle facing a lot. It makes sense. Opens up some design space. You know, gives particularly tougher vehicles maybe have a weaker rear armor, and I can use your movement utility, your deep strikers, to exploit that. Like, that seems all interesting. Interesting gameplay possibilities. It's just a matter of creating the rules so that people don't argue. But I wonder if you just... I don't know. There has to be a way to simplify that. Like if you just say... If you can make an argument that you could see a side, you can just choose between those two. Because you couldn't see more than two sides anyways, right? Like, I don't think so. Most vehicles are just boxes, right? It's all 90-degree angles. Let me catch up with my autocannon question. Autocannons are still okay. The hardest part is getting extra AP, but they will shred heavy infantry. This is true. They're flat 3 damage, right? Over the heavy bolters, flat 2. Running low on a pigment. Ah, George, Iron Warrior player here. Autocannon and missile launcher are the way. Sad. Yeah, it's kind of my feelings on it too, and I applaud you for committing to those choices. You know, for thematic purposes, it's Mondo cool, but yeah, they aren't the best options. They're weird. You know, like blast is such a weird rule, particularly when it's on an anti-vehicle weapon. It becomes a bit awkward, a bit narratively jarring. Not the best use of game mechanics abstracting narrative. And I think that's something missile launchers suffer from. Twin linked is another rule I kind of hate. Like, why are you like this twin linked? I think those are most of our red areas based. Well, that's a plus. Jeez, like this conversation I'm reading between you guys here. They try to play, but should they? Oh my god. It's, yeah, I think, why not, man? People want to enjoy the hobby, let them. What's the... I'm not, look, it's... If people are like my position is like usually with most things like the more the merrier, like it is kind of like my default, right? And I can understand if you've had experiences where people have come in and changed the environment of like where you play or your local club or whatever, and that can be less than desirable for sure, right? Context depending. But if people are coming into the hobby to engage with it as it is, like I'm all for that. I don't think there's anything to lose. It seems like all upsides, unless I'm missing something. But I can definitely appreciate the frustration of having what you're accustomed to being changed by people coming in. Like I'm kind of, I'm kind of guilty of that in my play group. With things like house rules and custom missions and scenarios and let's do open play. Like I don't know, like yeah, the more people who come into a hobby, the more likely it is to change. But I guess it's context depending. Let's catch up on chat. They try to play, but should they actually in the fourth dimension? You can see all four sides on top of my yeah, all four sides. Vehicle facing doesn't matter. Through the warp, I see whatever side of the vehicle you drive as I want. Actually, in the fourth dimension, you can see. Oh wait, yeah, right. That. The Warhead keyword vid I made was neat. Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that you enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought it was funnily enough, I can't remember what I said in that video. I remember liking it, but I can't remember the rule. I think generating more hits or something, right? That's what it was about? Something for missiles to make them have more oomph. Twin linked, so sad. Why not double shots? Absolutely, George, absolutely. This idea that... Oh my god, there's so many cases where I'd rather have the extra shot because the attack sequence disproportionately favors volume over a single attack. Right? Especially, like, The obvious case is like invulnerable saves, where you'd probably be wounding pretty well anyways, like on 3s or 2s with a high power weapon, and you're like, oh Jesus, come on, just give me an extra shot. If it was reroll wounds, but that attack carried like double the normal damage, or maybe half, an extra half of the damage value, like a Twin Link Lascan would be d6 plus 3, I think it begins to feel a bit better. Because then at least whatever's going through is much more reliable than a standard Lascannon or d6 damage weapon. Where is my gold set? Oh, it sucks to misplace your paints, certainly. CR's responding to Francois. Right. You can just play, yeah. Okay. Alright, I think I'm all caught up. With chat. Jeez, I think I put too much milk in my tea here. Or I'm getting sick. One out of the two. Hopefully it's the prior. Or the former. Okay, let's build up a bit more reds. I think I need to mix in some Evilsome Scarlet here. Oh man, Francois, I feel like this. The optics, I feel like, are so bad here. Don't do it. Don't do it, Francois. Jesus. Think of the optics. Okay, paint the back of his girdle. Oh shit. No. Yeah, like, it's I just feel like it's such an unpersuasive position, Francois. And I'm not trying to chase you out of here because you seem to like the channel, and I appreciate the company here on streams, and I think, and I'm open to kind of having discourse about topics and all, as long as we're being amicable, right? But in my play group of all dudes, of all men, there are a fair few that are very indecisive. I just, that's not, I don't think it's persuasive. You're going to have players who are indecisive and who take forever to deep strike, and it's like, Jesus, come on. I had a buddy. Well, I have a buddy. He's taking a break from the hobby now. But I swear to God, okay? Like, this guy, he must have had like a 1 hour psychic phase. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it. It's like a time warp. And funnily enough, he was playing Thousand Suns, probably Cult of Time too, now that I think about it. So it's a little bit of art imitates life, which I always appreciate. And looking back on it, I can laugh about it, but at the time, it was dreadful. People get indecisive. And it's something I've been guilty of in this hobby as well while playing. Jesus, hold on, give me 1 second. Man, a lot of throat clearing today. Good thing I know how to use my mute button. Yeah, this red seems correct. Yeah, I don't think... I don't know, I wonder how much of this conversation is like arguing of definitions or like rather than the points themselves, because I don't think Warhammer should be for everyone either, in the sense like let's change what it is so it appeals to everybody. But I also think anyone should be allowed to like it and enjoy it as it is. Right? Like let's say if, for example, there are people who are incredibly indecisive and they take forever to play. Yeah, maybe they shouldn't play with everybody, but if two people want to hang out, have beer and pretzels for 6 hours and play one game of Warhammer in that time, like, let them. You know, like, I would never want it to be the case where we say they shouldn't be able to enjoy Warhammer. Like, that's crazy to me. And like I was saying earlier, like, I've had games for sure where I've been indecisive. There's way too much analysis paralysis, right? And you have to make those efforts to improve that as a courtesy for, well, not just for the other player, but even for my own enjoyment. I was like, geez, this is taking way too much time to play this game. I need to get out of here, kind of thing. Can't let games run on so long. And that's part of growing in the hobby for sure. And I think that's a good, what's the word? It seems to be like a productive means to develop that skill, to like weed out that indecisiveness. Because it's so easy to get stuck in analysis paralysis when you're first getting into playing 40k. And you find that you're better off just committing to a choice and learning from the mistake, from the hindsight. Like learning from the benefits of hindsight rather than trying to think of all possible, like you're trying to consider all possibilities before you make your tactical choice. It's like, oh geez, there's too much to account for. That's a bummer. Like, I actually kind of feel bad about that if CR left. Uh, I mean, in fairness, I'm not following the conversation you guys are having line for line here, but I would hope that things were amicable in that discourse. It's like I said, I don't want to. Like this is like this. These streams are a pretty chill time. Everyone's pretty amicable from what I can tell, and I like that. But I don't want it to become a thing where it's like we need to start moderating people out of here. As long as the discourse is amicable, I think we're all right. Oh shoot, I forgot to do this. The armor from this angle. The angle no one would ever see. Another topic, you think GW could have brought facings instead of oval/circle bases? They did square and rectangles with monsters and vehicles. I think it's you'd have the same arguments, Pyro, between people saying they could see the faces or not. And I just wonder if the culture of how you determine facings should be, or the protocol of the culture, the protocol used to determine whether faces can be seen, maybe could just be simplified. Like almost to the point where if someone's saying, "Oh, I can see that left side from where my guy is over here," and you think like, "No, you can't. You can only see the front." Then maybe he just gets to choose. Maybe that's the simplest option, right? Because it's never going to be the case that you're at the front where it's usually the strongest, and you're saying you can see the back. That you're probably going to have to be, and I'm saying this like all like just in my imagination, right? I'm just imagining all this. But I think it's never going to be the case where, or rather, you would have to be considerably past the 90-degree point in order to see the back. So if you become that far and people are making arguments, let them have it. If you're going to play with facings, I think that's the way to go. Oh, I wish rhinos and the like had bases because it makes them taller. Because models are, the scale creep is hurting things like rhinos. Where you have like 10 plague marines jumping out of a rhino, it really is like a clown car situation. Like it's crazy to me. And then the value you get from that transport is also crazy. Why do you? Oh, sure, do what you want is fine. I argue GW changes things for the worse due to accommodating more people rather than. I don't know how much, like maybe to a point, Francois, GW changes things to allow more people to be enjoying the hobby that you feel shouldn't be able to. Like my bias is the opposite. I feel like GW changes things always in service to the tournament community. That's what I feel is like informing all of their changes, and that's what I said. Like It's like almost like an opposing bias to yours. I just always see these rules changes. I'm like, oh, easier for tournaments, better for tournaments. You know, get rid of chapter masters because they don't have any models that are chapter masters. Better for tournaments. Like, it's all like a simplification for that kind of play. It feels like, you know, let's get rid of sub factions and just make them detachments so that tournament players can easily swap and jump between them without that narrative kind of stigma that they would rather have. I think that's a great example of what I'm talking about. Yes, I'm more inclined to think GW is changing things for at least rules. It seems to be in service of tournament play, competitive play, rather than inclusivity. Though I think they like to virtue signal with their inclusivity, as per the Warhammer is for everyone slogan you are referring to. I do think there's truth to that, because that's what that was. Oh man, look, I forgot about that armor panel too. GW does change a lot, but they don't add much. Some factions are incomplete, unfinished still. Yep. Well, you know, that's a financial choice. That is a... I think so, anyways. I think the reason why things like Eldar are still, you know, Aspect Warrior still in Finecast and like the like, is because they have a sales model, a product release schedule, right? They have a production model situated so that every week there's a new release on Warhammer Community that they can push. And it's worked brilliantly. I kind of hate it, because it makes me feel like Warhammer Community is just like such a misleading, almost disingenuous label for that website. Sometimes, like, you know, like 2% of the time there'll be an article that feels like a community-oriented thing. But almost always it's in service of what is being sold right now. Like, what kind of community website is this? If it was a real community website, they would be sourcing, like, you know, community events, painting competitions on the regular. There'd probably be a lot more interactivity with content creators and the like. Where you would expect, you know, especially those in their inner circle that you know, get product from them, like, you know, Tabletop Tactics, Winters, all those guys, the big dogs. You would expect a bit more like relationship being showcased on that end too. You get that only with painting, and it's only of the new products being sold. So I feel like it's such a deceptive website. Oh, welcome, Bruno. Just saw your message now. Sorry about that. I appreciate you checking out the stream. Let me catch up on chat here. Francois says, "Don't feel bad. I have an opinion. They took it personal. Can't have a good conversation if you take counter arguments personally." That is valid. That is valid. Taller rhinos? No way. I would love for rhinos to be on bases. They feel so small. They feel so small. I would like them to be on bases. I think it would help with their, not looking so small next to a Primaris Marine or a Plague Marine. GW does change things. Oh, I read that. Yeah, so I missed those messages. GW is catering more to a competitive side of the hobby. They are more vocal too. Yes, that is true. I feel the same. Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. I'm pretty sure the competitive side of things is just more. People are more interested in it, which sucks. It's disheartening because that's not what I like in the hobby. And if they're more vocal, then GW will cater to that more, most probably. It breaks my heart that the Raven Guard has 1 unit and 1 upgrade. My poor Dark Eldar. Well, Bruno, it's better than it's better than some armies where you have no like Night Lords, like no character, no up. I mean, I guess the kill team now does give you an upgrade, so you can pick a different Traitor Legion. How can I hear your counter argument about tournament players if I don't voice my argument? These conversations are legit and should take place. It's up to us to gatekeep our hobby space or just let it go to the way of the dodo. No, I can appreciate that, certainly. Question, other than HQs, what would you add to certain factions like AdMech, NIDS, and Marines? Yeah, HQs are single characters are par for the course for GW to release with a publication. So it's just there's a deluge of them. It feels like a character for you, a character for you, and so on and so on. What would I add to NIDS? That's a good question. I have lots of thoughts about NIDS rules and how they should be handled. As for what they need, I think Carnifex should probably get reimagined, or I don't like how it's basically going the way of the Box Dread. It feels like it's going extinct. I think that the most tasteful way to do it would be to take a Redemptor kind of approach, create something called a Macrofex, which would basically be like the Redemptor, just a reimagined, larger, but still to the spirit of the original model. Hopefully it would just be the original model, but bigger. With a similar type of options, and then still allow the old one to be played in kind of a squadron format. That way they each have their pros and cons. And then you could release an old one-eye that's buildable out of that kit. I'd love that for NIDS. Warhammer community, there's no way to communicate on the website. So, yeah. Ironic. As for AdMech and Marines, I'm not really sure what AdMech needs. I'm too out of the loop on what they need for play or for lore. You know what I want for AdMech? I want them to be able to use their Horus Heresy shit. That's what I want. The problem solved. It drives me up the wall. It's like the Dark Angels Legends position I have, right? Yeah, it shouldn't be legends. It should be tools they have access to because they have weapons from the Dark Age. That's what they're supposed to be about. It's similar for AdMech, right? You would think, yeah, they can use their Horus Heresy units in the same capacity. Custodians would be able to use their Horus Heresy units because they're tech hoarders, right? I wonder if the reason why they don't want them to do that is because maybe they want those types of units for Dark Mechanicum or something. That's possible. It's possible GW wants to do that. And as for Space Marine units, what I'd want them to have, it's like, oh man, Space Marines are so oversaturated. I feel like. I don't know. I want them. I want rule changes more than models, to be honest. I want chapter masters. I want war gear options on characters, so you could have your Terminator Captain with Storm Shield and Thunderhammer. I want those types of things. The worst part to me is that GW already has models in their pocket to realize, but decides to wait 20 years before freeing the models. Didn't they announce for a show that a roadmap would be released? Yeah, I think they. I'm still waiting on the new roadmap, unless that one that I showed last week was legit. You're still waiting on the Night Lord's kill team? Yep, valid. That's FOMO for you, though. Rumor engine stuff is so poorly done, only after I'm dead and buried the model even gets revealed. Yeah, the rumor engine is so stupid. It's so key jangly, it hurts. Like, you're so content starved, right? Like really, whenever a rumor engine is revealed, you want to point to when it was first shown, and you probably want some sort of calendar, almost like an advent style calendar that you can scroll through and see, like, oh shit, rumor engines from this month we still haven't seen have been revealed yet, right? And maybe they don't do that because it's just, well, I think it's safe to say they don't do it because it's just so much more effort than what's required. They found a process that works. New Raveners? Yeah, New Raveners would be... That's a good pick for a new Tyranid model for sure. Nids need a troop transport. I don't know. Do they? Should they? Should all factions have those same types of things? I'm asking honestly, right? If you think about it, should Nids have a troop transport? Kind of like when factions are different. It's part of like why I dislike those new wave sister models. They just feel like they're encroaching more and more into like Space Marines, or I'm like, what even are you? And then they uploaded a tutorial of how to pay Night Lords the other day. That was just evil. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks, dude. Feels bad, man. Chaos Space Marines need more demon engines. We lost some. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm not personally hungering for any more stuff for my armies, so hard for me to recall what's needed or what I personally would want. I think World Eaters are desperate for models, man. They're so awkward, it pains me. I'd rather have World Eaters just get their models. But also, like I said, my asks of GW are way more about rules than model releases. Like, because I feel like that's a fix you could do tomorrow. You know, you don't have to. Oh, we need to design the CAD and then verify the QA and then whatever else goes into the 3-year cycle that goes into product releases that they have to follow. Alright, so this guy's looking fairly tabletop. Fairly. So I don't feel bad with where we end up, though. No glowing stuff yet. Oh, we're still ahead of schedule. We're okay. Let's just glaze in some red onto these segmented panels here. Hopefully break up the canyon. This gun looks absolutely devastating, and then you see the profile and you're like, it's alright. I mean, it's not bad. It's D6 shots, like devastating wounds. It's not bad. I guess the devastating wounds kind of gives it that oomph. So it's worthy of the size, I suppose. Where's the holy cabbage? Oh, actually, let me greet Donzilla. Welcome, Donzilla. Good to see ya. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm happy you were able to tune in for one of these. We're just chatting away here, you know, painting some noodles and talking all sorts of 40k stuff. You still can't buy the Venom Crawler in a separate kit? Yep. That's so awkward. Let's get some glowing green stuff going. Guess who's late? Surprise, surprise. Alfarius. How fitting. The last Primarch to be found is late. Or maybe he was hiding in plain sight all along. Putting some toxic mist down on these, I don't know what these are. I consider them to be energy tubes. As for where's the cabbage is done. I made a little YouTube short and Instagram reel, and there's some pics on Instagram as well, some still photos. I think they turned out particularly well. It's a nice piece. I don't have the cabbage on hand, though. It is packed away. I just have the other squad members here with me. Gonzilla says, it's been pretty good. Busy with a physics class as of recent, but my final 4 is on Fridays, so that'll be nice to be finally done with for all of my classes for work. Nice! Very cool. Very cool, yeah, man. Get her done. Makes sense, fashionably late. Yeah. How fitting for Alfarius to be late. It's okay though, Alfarius. Good to see you. Happy you were able to tune in. I probably should have waited to do these components because the eyes have to get done the same and the helmet isn't ready for lenses just yet. Bit of a miscalculation on the steps here, but what you gonna do? These kind of things happen when you're just painting, you know, leisurely to enjoy the process, not to bang it out as quickly as possible. Speaking of banging it out as quickly as possible, I think Typhus is dry. Let's take a look at him. Okay, rim looks good. Rim looks good. Looks even. Good coat. I think that's this dude done. Did a swampy ooze experiment on him, mixing some still water, which I use on my Eldar base, with... Oh, you know what? How about the top of the rim? That lip. The recessed bases have these lips that you have to account for. Okay, so it's not done. Yeah, but anyways, I thought it... the still water mixed with Tesseract Glow, which is what I used, turned out pretty good. Pretty good for like a ooze. Secret of the Ooze basing scheme, that's what I call it. We'll just do this, and then Typhus will be done. Forgot about this lip. It's not often I have a recessed base to do. But with this, he should look much more finished. Much more photo ready. Alright, we'll put Typhus away. Let me catch up on chat here. Does it? Does anything truly make sense? Find it, give it a like and a comment, so I'm not the only one to do so. Hey, speaking of giving things likes and comments, why don't you guys like the stream? That would be pretty cool. There's a PSA. We're only, what, an hour and a half in? At What the 40K, you think Ultra Smurfs are going to get similar treatment to Blood Angels are getting with all their detachments and new characters? They're the poster boys, which goes both ways for them. What do you mean by... Sorry, Alfarius. What do you mean by getting the Blood Angels treatment? You mean getting a whole bunch of individual releases with kits and a few named characters? I don't... If that's the case, no, I don't think they're going to get that. I think they probably will get an obligatory named character at some point. But I don't think they're going to get like another release. Feels weird, man. Like I would find it to be in poor taste, honestly. You can be the poster boys without having like releases to that degree. Like, you're the poster boys, but you also don't have your own codex supplement. Like, it's weird, right? And maybe if that's what you mean, I think it's a stretch to think that would happen for them. Donzel says, I don't know if I shared in the Discord, but I got one of the old metal demon princes as a gift a little while ago. Nice! Definitely be careful with those demon princes. They are a weapon. They are a home defense weapon. I have a metal keeper of secrets, an old one, and that thing, if you threw it at someone, I think they'd die. Right? Same with the old Juggernaut. The old pewter Juggernaut is like, oh god. You glue that to like, or you, not glue, but if you attach that to a pole, you'd have like a mace, basically. Like given, Gib compensation, nice. No compensation, Alfarius, but you have my thanks. It is very much appreciated. The algorithm appreciates it. Battery treatment equals sub. Power trash upgrades. Brainstorming. How the make a greater blight drone. Any ideas on what kits to kit bash one? I do not want to get the resin one. Oh, a greater blight drone. Isn't a greater blight drone a larger photed blight drone? That's the same thing, right? Or precursor of sorts. A Dark Age precursor type unit. On how to kit bash one, that's tough. It's a fairly particular shape. Depending on the size, maybe you can look into the Nurgle Demon Flies, maybe? The Plague Riders? I can't remember what they're called. They're not called Plague Riders, though I could see GW making a unit for Nurgle called Plague Riders. That sounds like it's right in line with their naming convention. With the 40k, new detachments, updated old characters, Sicarius, and one on hand. You think it'd be the easiest to make for them. But if you're too unique with them, they can't be the poster boys. Yeah, I don't think Ultramarines will get another supplement. I'd be surprised, honestly. I would be like, whoa. I just did not see this coming at all. And I also don't know, like, what avenue do you go with for Ultramarines to give them more detachments, honestly? The Gladius, and I say it so often, like, Gladius is such a perfect, like, it's so good. It's such a good, like, mechanically and competitively, my understanding is it's also very, very good. But just in terms of like mechanics, abstracting theme and narrative, it's just like, it's so Ultramarines. Like, I love that detachment. I don't know what other lane you go into. There's no Death Company lane or Sanguinary Guard or Raven Wing or Death Wing like with the Blood Angels and Dark Angels, right? Like, I don't know what you would do for the Ultramarines to give them more detachments. I think you just get different flavors of the same detachments, which you can use with Ultramarine. Oh no, you couldn't. You couldn't use. Well, you could use Black Templar's detachment with your Ultramarines, but not with Ultramarines characters, because subfactions only exist if you have a named character, a lame part of 10th edition. Maybe. Maybe you could have some Crusader Sicarius detachment. It's possible. Look, there's design space there for it. And now you can have a sword Crusader type detachment with Ultramarines named characters, because that seems to be the limiting factor. I don't love it though. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, that helmet is not really doesn't really have perfect coverage, but I don't think it matters if I'm darkening the recesses, planning to build things back up anyways. I think all I have to do is the Hexwraith after, brighten the whites, and add a little bit of... Where's that magenta contrast? There it is. Okay, so we're closing in on the target level of doneness. He's definitely a heavyweight. I've been debating on how I'm gonna paint him. Been trying to catch up on the rest of the half painted Chaos stuff before I start any new projects. Well done, Zilla. Good for you. That's the model way to engage with your hobby. Clear out that pile of shame. That is exemplary. Definitely gonna need a few coats of this. What direction was my fade here? Okay. I don't know if that actually makes sense, but I guess that's what we're going with. Like, brighter towards the tip, but you'd think it would be... I don't know, whatever. It looks cool. Looks cool, we're gonna go with it. If 30k Admech get flyers, there's a chance they will get what the Death Guard drones looked like before going full Nurgle. True. That is a keen observation. I would agree with that prediction. Alfarius says, you would like Tyrannic War Veterans. That could be a flavorful detachment that just has a whole bunch of anti-Tyranid stuff. Like, that's fun for narrative, for sure. You'd have a lot of cool interplay. Yeah, you already have the Combi Lieutenant. That would be a perfect, perfect character to include in such a detachment. That model is so cool. An upgrade sprue, George. You're referring to Tyrannic War Vets? Yeah, I guess you could just do that. Just have a Tyrannic War Veteran upgrade sprue. That's an option. I mean, that's even tempting for the Firekeepers. But I don't I don't really have more Marines I want to add to that RP. Ugh. But all the scale cloaks and stuff that I painstakingly green stuffed, it'd be cool just to have a Tyranid, you know, bits of a carapace and claws to attach onto the Marines to make them look a bit more trophied up. That'd be sweet. It seems that's the way GW is going. Upgrades to add some Riz to your Marines. I guess so. It's certainly easier to do it that way. Is that what the Sanguinary Guard are? No way, right? That they are a bespoke kit that's just way less ornate, right? Francois, you want to see every chapter's Veterans of the Long War, squad of unique individual sculpts of 1,000-year-old Marines. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. And now you know what that looks like for the Blood Angels with the new Sanguinary Guard, right? Just as you've always imagined. Sorry, sometimes I like to hate. Yeah, Sanguinary Guard have almost none now. It's awkward. It's almost as if they were just an upgrade sprue on Assault Intercessors, is kind of where I was coming from. But I don't think that's the case. For the Death Company, yes, they are just an upgrade sprue, I believe, right? But Sanguinary Guard, I think that's a unique kit that's just lacking all regalness and ornamentation. Really another coat on that backpack icon for sure. Oh Jesus, hold on, I'll be right back. You're saying, yeah, Death Company is just a sprue? Alright, cool. I feel like the amount of kit bashes that might be made using pieces of the old Sanguinary Guard and new ones will be immense. Yes, I agree, Alfarius. I think Sanguinary Guard will be a unit that you'll be surprised if people are running Bear. I think most of the people who like the new design are just, it's just cope. I think it's possible that people could like the, they may not have liked the proportions of the old model. Sorry, because they are, well, you know, it's old squat bodies, big heads, all that stuff. So you can like the newer models from that point of view, but the lack of accessories and regalness, I think most people are coping if they're in preference of the Blood Angels lacking artistry and nobility in their design. Like, that's crazy to me. I feel like go play Iron Hands or something. Even Iron Hands have quite a bit of heraldry on their, you know, tip-top veterans. Surely. I would have, like, it's weird. It's an odd choice from GW. Very odd. Though I will say I was prepared to hate all over Sanguinar, and I think the way they did it was probably as tasteful as they could do it. Man, I'm really clumping up this model. This is a problem. The chalky paints. I tell you what. See if I can smooth that out a little bit. Not ideal at all. I'm so desperate to just do one coat. Francois says, I'm doing my own squad of Veterans of the Long War. Kit Bashes have risen in the form of Blade Guard from my Dark Angels. Oh, very cool. 3 from the Company Heroes box and 3 from the Combat Patrol. Believe me, I know my entire Deathwatch army has Kit Bash pieces. Oh man, pour one out for the Deathwatch. That's... so rude. I feel like maybe I missed the I missed the boat with this one, but I feel like there might have been an alternate timeline where I made a rage-filled video about that choice. I think half of my Deathwatch combat weapons are actually conversions. George says nobility, artistry. They have that. We painted them gold. Done. Oh yeah, that's... that's it. Oh, that's brutal. Brutal. I think you'll have people taking, like, Venatari Custodes and kit bashing them from that, too. It'll be every other option but the original kit is what you'll see. You'll have 3D printed backpacks, body, torso swaps. Yeah. Sanguinar's paint job is terrible. The non-metallic metal makes him look like he has giant millions. Well, I can't say that's what I took away from it, but that's, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Just recalling the paint job itself, I thought it was fine, but in terms of what I was going to be most critical of would be his base size and significance in relation to Dante. And I think in that respect, he's basically the way I would have wanted him to be handled if he must exist at all. Have another look at those pecs in air quotes. Nice. Yeah, I'll give him a looky-loo at some point, I'm sure. Okay, let's... Man. Okay, well, planning to wrap the stream fairly shortly. The contrast won't take too long to put on. That'll be done in this stream. But the shoulder panels, I did no build up on those. So, and no base washes either. So that is what it is. I always figured that these warp spiders would have to get a 2-part process. Tabletop minimum, and then another second treatment for them after the fact for the finer details. I thought by adding some variants beforehand would save some work later on, but it seems that the Doomfire contrast is more opaque than the Hexwraith. That's okay though, for For tabletop ready purposes, it's fine. Man, painting those tubes is deceptively satisfying. A little bit of overspill is okay. All I gotta do is eye holes. Very important. Peak pecs physique, is that so? They are looking good. The pecs or the these tubes of painting. Looks like the sculptor cheaped out on this one. This one's base compared to the others. What's your plan for it? Water? Yep. I'll just put some water on these bases. Like, it's not the basalt that I usually do, obviously. And like you said, the sculptor decided to do just like these weird, I don't know, almost like medieval castle kind of stonework. Not what I would prefer, honestly. You got, like, this one has a killer pose, which makes it a bit better. And the way the pose works, so you can kind of see the break in the seam here. I could have rebased this model, but I just didn't want to deal with that hassle. But I think, you know, on the ones that I have rebased, I think they look cooler, like on the basalt, just walking around. But that you can see that stone foot that she comes on there. And yeah, there's one more with basalt. Kind of like a running sort of pose. It's all right. But yes, I think we are donezo for this stream, guys. Pretty much right on schedule, which is perfect. Next stream will probably be another one of these warp spiders, to be honest. We're just banging out the Eldar stuff. And maybe we'll close out with a little bit of a Typhus rotation, because he kind of looks prettier. Yeah, looking sharp with his rim job done. Look at that. Photo ready. And now his base looks a lot... Oh, looks a lot more finished. Much more worthy of his pose. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in and joining me on this Hobby Hang stream. Your participation in fueling the hobby camaraderie is always appreciated. Thanks to everyone who chatted and liked and all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.